Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show. We are so excited in honor of African American Music Month. I have Pastor Mark Reddick here with me today in the studio. Hi, Pastor.
Hello, Lady Kim. God bless you.
God bless you. It's a great pleasure to have you on. And now, all of you that are coming into the studio, and Pastor Reddick, this is a good opportunity for you as well. If you have a device, to just share from my Facebook page, you can just share it with your friends as well. But if you have to use the device that's on here, don't touch.
Yeah, I will touch.
Don't touch that one. But everyone that's coming in, go ahead and share today's broadcast with your friends, your family, your coworkers, church members. People are still in stay-at-home mode, a lot of people. So make sure you know that our virtual shows are an opportunity for people to be a part of the studio audience. Feel like you're somewhere at an event. Right now, you see I'm kind of jazzed up. I'm going to a musical event to hear Pastor Mark Reddick. Well, he's going to be performing some today as well. And we're going to be just talking about his life, how he's balanced ministry and music, and how this journey has culminated for him. So, as we get ready to get started, go ahead and share it with your friends, family, and coworkers, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into today's show.
Yes.
You know the routine, everyone. If you want to type a comment to show that you're in the studio audience, take a moment to do that, as well as make sure that if you want to be brought in, I will share the link from this broadcast so you can come in if you want to pop in and surprise Pastor Reddick and say, hey, I'm one of the church members. I just want to say hey and come right into the broadcast. I'll let you do that as long as you keep the comments positive. And
Amen.
that's the link you'll use right there to be able to come in physically into the broadcast. All right. So we're going to go ahead and introduce my special guest today. Since Mark was 3 years old, he has been playing the piano. Him and his sister Sherelle would make numerous appearances throughout New York playing and singing. Even at such young ages, Mark has watched his mother and his father growing up dedicate themselves to the Lord and to the music ministry in their church. By the age of 7, he had mastered the Hammond organ and was the musician for his church and played for the choirs. He remained faithful to his church until he left for Boston, Massachusetts to attend Berklee College of Music. 2 months later, after arriving in Boston, a young man named Ario heard Mark practicing the piano one evening and asked him, would he mind going to church with him because there they are in need of, you know what I'm going to do? I need to put my glasses on because I'm not going to even go through all this drama. I cannot see. I'm in denial, everybody. So you know what? I need to stop being in denial and embrace my age of 50 here.
Well,
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's much better. He remained faithful to his church until he left for Boston, Massachusetts, and that's when he left to attend Berklee College of Music. But 2 months after arriving in Boston, a young man named Arlo heard Mark practicing the piano one evening and asked him, would he mind just coming to the church because they're in need of an organist? Mark accepted the invitation and went with him to church and was greeted by the pastor, Reverend A.L. Foxworth, who immediately escorted Mark to the organ without hearing him even play or anything. The word traveled around Boston that there was this young man that was here in town from Brooklyn, New York, and was doing great things in the choir. And I mean, it's a whole lot to that story, which I'm going to let him share because I think it's always better for you to get to hear the journey directly from the person versus me reading their journey to you guys. So I'm going to skip down to some things, but I will let you know that he is now a pastor, and we're going to be talking about that. Pastor Mark Reddick. He is actually the pastor of Epiphany Chapel Church of God in Christ, right in Brooklyn, New York. And his 3-year-old son, Aaron Jordan Reddick. Yeah, we're gonna talk more about his son as well. And I don't want to reveal all of his story because then it takes away from you getting to hear his true journey. But he has been having some major music accomplishments, working with Hezekiah Walker and the Love Crusade Choir, helped record You Must Be Born Again, which is written by Pastor Mark Reddick. Ron Grant sent Mark Reddick on the European tour with the Golden Gospel Singers. Mark Reddick recorded and produced his debut album entitled The Lift Him Up Project. He's also recorded Christmas album with Mark Reddick and Universal Praise, and now is in the process of recording his with his singers at his church, the Voice of Epiphany. Welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show, Pastor Mark Reddick.
Thank you so much, Lady Kim. God bless you. God
I
bless
have I have much cuter glasses, but I had to go back and get my whole reading
you.
glasses. I am so honored to have you on today, Pastor.
Thank
And
you so much.
I think we're going to have a great time. I would like for people to know you just found out that you had this talent and you discovered it. It's not like you were training for it, based on my understanding, right?
That's correct. That's
So
correct.
take us on your journey of how music became important to you and where it began.
Well, I remember my mom used to tell me that I was playing before I can talk, and I would come home from church with my sister, my mom and dad, and whatever I heard in church, any of the songs, I would be singing to
Mm.
myself, even if I was in the crib. And by the time I was 3, they went on and purchased a piano. My dad went and got a piano and put it in the house. And then I was coming home from church every Sunday. I couldn't wait to get home, and I stopped playing out whatever I heard, and that's how they knew that I had a gift, and I just took off from there.
That's interesting. And yesterday, my guest was very similar. Silas Farley. His mom and dad recognized that he had this gift, and they just kind of really worked towards cultivating it and making sure it became everything that he ultimately became. So your mom and dad recognized at an early age that you had this gift, and literally went out and bought a piano for you to start playing.
Yes, that's
Did you
exactly.
ever take music lessons or anything?
Well, eventually I did. I was kind of a rebel to it at first because being a child, I didn't understand. I said, well, I already know how to play. Why do I need lessons?
Hmm.
So, fast forward in the tape, I was in high school, and there was this mall in Long Island called Roosevelt Field Mall. And every time I went with my mom and my sister, we went into a certain entrance, and at the beginning of the entrance was the Hammond organ and piano store. And every time we go there, I would run in there. And one day I ran in there and I was just testing all the keyboards, pianos. And there was this young lady there who saw my gift, and she started talking to my mom. And she's the one that recommended that I go to Berkeley. I never even heard of Berkeley College of Music in Boston. And she said, well, I think that I need a year with him to take him through music theory and the classical music and all that. And
Right.
that's what happened. So she prepared me. And so then I learned how to read, note music. And then when I went to Berkeley, I learned how to read the chord charts. And, I furthered my reading abilities by starting with her, then going to the college.
That's funny over there. Even though you made a mistake and hit a key, it still sounded like it was something special. I was like, we get ready to go to church. I was like, I've never heard anybody make a mistake and hit a key and it sound good. It'd be like, but you can tell that's a gift of yours over there for you to be able to strike it and it go boop in a good way. So it sounds too like then that a village helped identify your gift, and somebody took you under their wing, and then Berkeley became a reality for you.
Yes. Well, even before I met her, just my mom plays the piano by ear, and she was classically trained, and my dad plays. So I got my inspiration from them, and then as you just mentioned, the village, which is our church, is so important because I was so encouraged and pushed um, in my home church. They were very supportive of me even as a child, and a lot of times I was very bashful and didn't really want to do it, but they pushed me. So I thank God. I'm godly grateful for that push and for that encouragement to this day.
That's really good. So yeah, because I could tell you're not like some outspoken kind of person or anything, but you have these gifts and these talents that you're using to the glory of God.
Yes,
and other people recognize that and started saying, hey, you got to do this, man. But it's one thing for people to have this gift and this talent, but they don't always get to go to Berkeley. So how did the Berkeley experience help prepare you for where you are today?
Wow, going to Boston changed my life. I met musicians from all over the world, and that was just so inspiring to just from every country, from every city in America. There were young musicians like myself there, and that really pushed me even the more. Um, Boston just changed my life being there at Berkeley. And then, as you read in my bio, like 2 months later, I wound up at this church. That's where I received the gift of the Holy Ghost. And just my whole life just changed. And then I started writing and composing, and so many things were developed as opposed to me going to Boston and just being open to what the Lord had in store for me.
That's really good, really good.
Yeah.
And so when you left Berkeley, you because I'm what I want to make sure people also know, because I know where you are now and how God has really taken your gift and made it become something supernaturally special. But when children, I have a son in particular that's interested in acting. What advice would you give these young people that have these gifts and these talents, and they even know that they have a gift, kind of like you did? You could just play. You didn't need all this extra teaching. It's like, how do you encourage young people to pursue their dreams and their goals, but to do it in a way that gets them to levels that you or like Silas Farley and different people are today? That's at a whole different level.
Yes. Well, my advice to young people today would be take advantage of all the tools that's been afforded now. I mean, when we were coming up, there was no such thing as social media. There were no phones, cell phones, and there were no recorders. Just take advantage of all the tools and don't listen to the naysayers. Because as a child, I basically got supported very well, but there were a few people who were, as the kids say, hating, and I had to just really ignore that. I was also into basketball. I love to play basketball, but I had to make a decision: what's going to bring me longevity, playing basketball or my music? And I made the choice to do the music. So get into your craft, study. Whatever your love is and your gift is. Study the people who have done it before you. That would be my advice. Study on how successful they were and what they had to go through, so you'll know what to do and what not to do moving ahead.
That's really good advice. Really good. So, and all of the young people listening and parents that are watching, make sure you share this information, because I'll be sharing it also with my son and letting him know that you have to study your craft and make sure you take advantage of all of the tools and resources that are available from a technological standpoint. There's so many things available to our children today that
Yes,
we didn't even have access to back in the day. And
that's right.
ignore naysayers. That's some good advice. And then study those that have done it. That was another tip that he shared. So this is really good. Now, you became a professional performer. How did that process work for you? And how long did it even take you to get to that level?
Well, again, since I've been playing since childhood, it just each year that went by, I just developed more and more until just about anybody who would ask me to play, I would play. Um,
Hmm.
Churches, I played for many churches, especially after I returned back to New York, helping out so many ministries. Um, I basically stayed away from the clubs and all of that. I'm not, now let me just say this: I'm not condemning church or gospel musicians who do that. I just didn't do it.
Right.
That
You
wasn't my
chose a
journey.
different path.
Right. That was not my path. That was not my journey. So I basically did church music, and I did a lot of studio. I was into studio like crazy. I love being in the studio. So I've done some um, genres other than gospel also in the studio, but I never professionally went out, to a club or anything like that. I was blessed to do that European tour that my friend Ronald Grant set me on, which was a gospel tour.
Hmm.
So that's, you know, between that and everything else that I've done church wise, that's my professional work. And I've worked in the public schools here in Brooklyn, teaching music and working with the jazz groups and the gospel choirs and what have you. So, thank God for the path.
Well, do you think that it's helped you or hindered you by not being open to being in different other secular situations?
That's a good question. Because I have a few friends who ask me, why didn't I take advantage of some of the R&B experiences I could have had? And I can't put my finger on it. It was just something on the inside that just would not release me. And I don't know what would have happened had I just totally been exposed to R&B or whatever, just being out there on the road. Um, so many of my friends got caught out there with drugs and alcoholism, and some didn't. I don't know what would have happened, but I've never been drawn to that life. I've never been drawn to partying or going to clubs. I'm not saying that I'm perfect and I'm a goody two shoes, but I was just never drawn to that.
Well, so that's interesting that you said it, because like I know that there are no perfect people, and I understand that as well, but I think that different people are interested in just different things, and based on whatever upbringing you have and what you might be more drawn or inclined to do is based a lot on even how you sometimes are raised and the environment that you are raised in and how you're exposed to different things. Like I tell people often that, like, I literally don't drink. I don't drink, and it's okay. I'm not interested in drinking, and I'm not condemning somebody else that if you want to drink, do hang your hat on whatever you want to hang your hat on. I'm not judging you in that regard one way or the other. But for me, I don't. And the reason I don't is because only literally because my mom never drank anything. I never saw alcohol, and she just never drank anything. I've never seen her drink a cooler or anything. Now, don't in college, I definitely tried the cooler thing, and I was like, okay, that didn't work for me anyway. You got to get so out of your head in a situation. It's just not appropriate for me. And I can only speak for myself, like you're speaking for yourself, you know?
Yeah, upbringing is so important. Those 2 months after I got to Boston, before I got to that church, I would spend my Sundays, I would grab a hymn book and my Bible and go to the piano room. Berkeley has piano rooms where everybody, you could just give them your ID and you can secure a piano room and you can practice as long as you want. And every Sunday, I would go there and just take my hymn book and my Bible, and I would pray, I would read a scripture, and then I'll open the hymn book and play and sing to myself. And that was my church. I had to do something because I was so used to going to church every Sunday. And I attribute that to my upbringing with my mom and dad, which we did it religiously every week. And I think that their teaching helped me to just do that and go further. And even once I got to that church, I had roommates who loved to get high and drink on the weekends. And I would be in church probably just about all day. But back then it was 2 morning services and an evening service. And I would come in from the evening service and they would be high, and there would be, and anybody who's experienced college life, you know how it is. They have beer cans all in the elevator and people have been partying all weekend. But God sustained me from all of that and kept me in the church. And I'm just thankful again for the upbringing.
Oh yeah, and also let's be clear too, from a fair balance perspective, there are people that have been in some really horrible upbringing situations and have had some horrible choices and decisions, that different things that we've made in life. And I say we because we've all made some bad decisions and bad choices, so I include myself in that too. But at the end of the day, God has grace and mercy on them and gives them an opportunity to have a whole beautiful outcome to their lives, some kind of miraculous way. So it's only by the grace of God that so many people are protected and shielded from some of the things that we've even subjected ourselves to. Amen. That were god awful decisions, you know?
Amen.
So anyway, now talk about some of the different artists that you have performed with professionally.
Well, it's not a whole lot, but I have performed with I have a friend, Stanley Brown, who I was hanging out with one afternoon, and he said, let's go by rehearsal. You know, he was very limited in what the details were. And when we pulled up to the church, he told me, he said, well, Hezekiah Walker he's working on an album, and they're looking for songs. So will you teach a song? I was like, are you crazy? I'm not even prepared. But that's how that started. So I went in there, and I just off the top of my head, I just written a song a year ago before that. And that worked out. So I worked with Hezekiah Walker and just other artists that I haven't done anything major, just like keyboard work. I can't remember right now. I wasn't expecting you to ask me that, but so many artists that I've helped along the way. Um, Aaron Hall, we used to play basketball together. Chuck D from God, I can't remember his group now. Flavor Flavor.
Flavor Flav. Flavor Flav. You said
Flavor
Flavor
Flavor.
Flavor.
see,
That
see
is
how
hilarious.
good
Now,
I
I
am.
even know that one. You said Flavor Flavor.
Public
Now,
Enemy.
you definitely old school. You don't. It's a Flavor Flav. Oh man, that's funny.
My kids saw this, they laugh at me too right now. But yeah, so I've just been basically low key, working with people. I'm basically just trying to build up my own repertoire of songs, and eventually just got into really just a lot of studio. I think I've done more studio work than anybody could ever imagine. So I love being in the studio. So that's where my creative juices flow. Not so much
That's
on
good.
stage or on church. Even though I love playing in church, but the studio is where it happens for me.
That's really, really good. Okay, so we're going to do a flash round where people in my studio audience get a chance to ask questions and just chime in and share some of their thoughts. Listen, everybody, I would love for you to, wait a minute, make sure I put this too, because I did this wrong yesterday. Okay. Make sure that if you all are enjoying shows like this, that you go ahead and take a moment today after today's broadcast and subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show and turn on your notifications. That way you don't miss a moment when we go live. And you can definitely share the YouTube channel with your friends, your family, your coworkers as well. We have new shows that come on Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. Each weekday is a new show for 1 hour. And so I encourage you to be a part of the studio audience, and exactly what you guys are doing. You're typing in your comments, and this gives you a chance to kind of come up on the mic and say something to my guests. So let's see here. Okay, you have Antonia Daniel says, I am so proud of you, my friend, Pastor Mark Reddick. You are truly a gifted man of God. Love you.
Hey, that's my friend, Sister Tony. I love her. I love you too, Sister Tony. She's very, very supportive of me for many years.
Oh, thank you so much. Bertella says, watching my good friend Mark Reddick, awesome musician.
Yes, he's an awesome musician also. I met him last a year or the year before. He's from Florida. And God has just brought so many people in my life. It's incredible. Music will do that. And he's a very talented musician as well.
Oh, excellent. Now, listen, all of you that are watching that are with Pastor Mark Reddick, share it with your friends and family, because he didn't get to share the page because it would mess his device up, and we're not about to do that. So make sure you guys share it and tag some people that you know he would want to be able to see his interview. And then obviously you'll be able to share it later. But Pastor, if you don't mind, just maybe doing a musical selection, and I'll give you an opportunity, since this is in honor of African American Music Month. I would love for you to be able to get a chance multiple times to render a selection.
Sure. Do that. Is that too loud?
It's perfect.
Oh, give thanks to the Lord. He is good. Yes, he is good. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. Yes, he is good. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. Yes, he is good. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. Yes, he is good. For he is worthy. For he is good. Yes, he is good. For he is worthy. For he is
Hallelujah. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Amen.
you're a whole different person when you're over there playing. You're like, you're not shy back there.
Thank God. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, you're in Brooklyn, New York, right?
Yes.
Being in Brooklyn with everything that's happening with the pandemic, it's a lot more seems like happening in the Brooklyn area. What's going on from your perspective about this whole coronavirus outbreak pandemic that seems to not be going away anytime soon? What are your thoughts and what are you sharing with like parishioners in your community?
Well, my parishioners, as of right now, New York is opening up little by little,
Mhm.
but I have warned my parishioners that I'm watching the math, watching the data, and I don't feel comfortable to going back to our church. We've been having our services online, a conference line, and they seem to, we don't have a big church, so my members really seem to enjoy that. This pandemic has showed me even further, and I realize my perspective is a lot different from others, but this pandemic, and I've shared this with my church, has reminded me that we cannot take life for granted. We cannot take church for granted. And that I've told my church that we will not be going back to the same old thing. We have to be about purpose. We have to reach people. We're commanded to do so.
Mhm.
Um, Not that I did a lot of that, but the anniversaries and all the stuff we get caught up in church.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean anything if people aren't being saved.
That's all.
So that's where I'm at with my church, and I've just been doing a lot of teaching on that. And when we do go back into our church, we're going to be reaching out to the community, And I told my church that our building is like a refueling station. It's like a gas station. You go to your gas station, you fill your car up with gas, you get some water, you go inside and get. So this is what our church is for: is to refuel and to send us out into the world and do something significant, do something for the Lord, make it count. So that's where I'm at.
Wow, that's really good. And I love that you chose the song. Let me put those comments in too, actually. Elder Owen Forbes, he's with Church of God in Christ. He said, that is my song.
All right.
Elder Owen Forbes can sing too. I
All
told
right.
you on my show, Elder Forbes. Anytime, I've already told you that. And Tanya said, Amen.
That's my girl.
Yeah. So I think that you choosing that song, "Oh, Give Thanks Unto the Lord." Why did you choose that song, and tell us like what it means in your spirit?
Because every day I'm waking up thanking God. There's no goodness of my own that I'm still here. So many people that I know have perished through this coronavirus in the month of April. I mean, especially here in New York. I mean, just a long list of preachers and pastors and bishops, and I'm still grappling with it, and I can't. I mean, I don't know why. All I know is that I'm still here, so I'm thankful.
Right.
I am thankful. I am thankful. Every day I get up, I'm thankful. I'm repenting. God, whatever I've done, even if I'm not even aware of it. God, forgive me. I'm just thankful to be alive. I'm thankful for another chance and another opportunity to live and to praise His name.
That's so beautifully put because I feel the same way. I feel like with this whole pandemic and starting to do my show more on a consistent basis, it's been just a blessing for me to be able to say, God, whatever piece of the world I can make a difference in by you using the Kim Jacobs show in a positive light, in a positive manner, I
Yes.
don't take that for granted. So I'm really grateful that you chose that song, "Oh Give Thanks Unto the Lord," because he is so worthy. And he's worthy of my praise, of me praising him and giving honor and thanks to him for what he's done in my life and what he's doing across the land to give people a chance to live their dreams and their goals.
Yes. Yes.
So I saw in your story about your Antonio, type what Isaiah 43:19 actually says cut and paste it in the actual comment. And I'll make sure that I put that in there so that I don't have to start typing the whole scripture myself at this right in the middle of the interview. Oh, and also Cassandra said, one more song, Pat, please, Pastor. He's going to definitely do another song, Cassandra. And then Antonia said, amen. And she's going to hopefully type the details of Isaiah 43:19. I can read it, but I'd rather it be put in the screen. Okay. So you tell us about your family dynamics and how things have transpired with your family so people learn more about your family story as well.
My family. I have a mom. I thank God for her. She's an educator. She loves, I'm still, she retired years ago from high school, but she teaches at two universities. So she won't slow down.
How old is your mom?
Well, I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but she will be 82 in August.
How do you hear? That's a blessing. That's a blessing.
Yes. My dad is 84. He turned 84 in March, this past March.
Wow.
So my mom, I praise God for them. My mom is she teaches English. She has a doctorate in English. And my sister is a medical doctor, and she's doing well. So I thank God for them. Then many years later, like I mentioned, Boston changed my life. I did get married in Boston, and then we moved back. Well, I moved back to New York for my family. And God has blessed me. It's kind of painful to talk about, but you alluded to it earlier. My baby son, Aaron Jordan Reddick, born 1998, in 2002, he passed away, and that was probably the most painful thing that I've ever been through. He was my fifth child. So when people ask me how many children do you have, I still include him, even though he's gone physically.
Right.
That year, I didn't even know my name, Lady Kim. I couldn't think. I couldn't write. I couldn't compose. I mean, I was just like a walking zombie. It's just hard to describe if you've never lost a child, and just see your child lowered into the ground. It's just, I can't even describe it. And I don't, only because of God I've sustained, and I'm here now, and I haven't lost my mind, because I could see why some people want to take their lives and don't want to go on anymore. It's just something about losing a child, and so, especially so young. But God has taken me through. And I remember Bishop Albert Jameson, who's also from out here, Brooklyn, New York. He lost his son a year before I lost mine. And I remember he said something so significant that I never forgot. He said, "You never get over it. You just learn to live with it."
Right.
And that kind of brought me through. So I'm okay now. The sting isn't bad. I mean, I still miss him, and I think of him every day. But in all things, to give thanks.
In all things. In all things.
I'm not thankful that he passed.
Right.
But it happened. So, God doesn't make any mistakes.
Right.
All things work together for the good.
And I do believe that. I believe that, and I believe that God is not a man that he's going to lie to us. So if he says that we can reunite with our loved ones again in the future, I believe that reunion will literally take place. And I too can relate to your experience because my 12-year-old son passed away. And that's why I wear his button every day. I told people I want to be buried with his button on me. And so when people ask me as well, I have 5 children, and I always have 5 children. So because he's still my son.
That's right.
And so I can definitely, I appreciate you sharing your story here on the Kim Jacobs Show, and the fact that so many parents don't know how to deal with this. So what is the number one thing you could say that has gotten, it's not even a question, because you don't get over it, you don't get through it, you don't want to get over it because you don't want to forget or anything. So it's like, how do you function with living with the fact that your child has now transitioned to heaven?
Well, for me, the best thing that helped me was just talking about it.
Okay.
I was surrounded by, I don't have a large circle of friends, but I have a few friends who would just give me their ear. And it just helped, even though most of them, or not really, none of them could identify because they never experienced that, they would just let me talk. So that helped. And then it also helped that I was able to communicate with people who have gone through it. It's just something about um, being in conversation with other people who have been through what you've been through.
Right.
So it just helps. That's the best way I can put it. So that's what helped me. Talking to people who have lost children, like yourself, and just my circle of friends who understood my grief, who understood my pain. They would just let me talk, even though they couldn't identify with it. They would just let me just talk. So just getting it off my chest, just talking about him, talking about the whole situation, just listening. That helped.
Hmm. Yes, I agree. It definitely helps when, yeah, it helps. It helps some with being able to talk about, even though that's not a club you want to be a part of, and it's not something, a circle of people you want to necessarily be like, oh, let's talk about it because we're linked together because of this. But it's helpful and therapeutic in some regard. So yeah. Wow. Okay. So let me go back, because people had asked Isaiah 43:19, and Cassandra typed up here, behold, I will do a new thing now. It shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Wow. So thank you, Antonia and Tanya and Cassandra, for finding that scripture and putting it up. Mark's parents are awesome, Rotella says. He says, sharp for their age. They are sharp.
Yes,
Tanya says, for I am about to do something new. See, I have already begun. Do you not see it? And that's the New Language Translation. Excellent. Excellent. So as you're proud of different projects, I'm sure, that you've worked on. What is the project that you're most proud of, that you're like, I'm so glad God gave me the opportunity to do this?
Really all of them, because I haven't, they always spread out. But I am definitely proud of my new. Now, you read it in my bio, but I actually just completed my church album.
Okay.
It was just released on May 29th of this year. So I've never done a recording with my church choir. So that felt good. And I've used, a couple of people outside the church who were friends of mine. But I definitely enjoyed that. I'm very proud of it, because I know I was able to really push a few of my members who wouldn't ordinarily get this opportunity, and they're very talented, but just a little bit kind of bashful. And because they were here in the studio with me, I could push and push and push. So I'm very proud of this album. I haven't done it. My Christmas album came out 10 years ago. So
Okay.
And then the Lift 'Em Up project was I recorded that in '96. So everything's been kind of like really spread out. So I'm really proud of all of the projects that I've done. But this new one, I'm very proud of as well.
Now, how can people get a copy of the new project, The Voices of Epiphany?
It's on all the digital platforms: iTunes, Amazon Music.
And it's called Voices of.
It's called the Church Choir Project.
Oh,
and
the church.
It's the Church Choir Project, and it's recorded by myself and the Voices of Epiphany.
Recorded by Pastor. Oh, just say Mark Reddick.
Yeah, Mark. Yes, Mark Reddick and the Voices of Epiphany, the Church Choir Project. It'll pop right up.
Okay, that's important, guys. I'm going to put that right here so you can go and get the full new release is the Church Choir Project, recorded by Mark Reddick and the Voices of Epiphany. I'm also going to put that in the comments so that you will be able to have that as well. And you can get it on any of the iTunes and different downloadable formats. So make sure you know that. And then Bertella says, okay, yeah, okay, I got that. Different people are saying different things. Awesome album. Awesome album. Now I'm telling you guys, I don't know, the people that I'm interviewing recently are so modest, and they're so, just when you get a chance, go and check out the Church Choir Project. And now listen, this man he's dropping some serious notes and tunes on that album over there. So make sure you go and get the Church Choir Project, recorded by what I call Pastor Mark Reddick and the Voices of Epiphany. He's just being very modest, everybody. Okay, go get the album. Now, as far as your church and ministry and things that are, what's getting ready to happen that's new and upcoming in your life, and some things that's about to come in the future? What projects are you working on?
Well, this music project, that was one of them. I'm also going to my children are very talented. My oldest son did a lot of the vocals on this album, the background vocals, and he's singing one song, the lead. My other son, Marcus, he's a bass player, very talented. My other son, Charles, he's so busy, he didn't have time for me. But anyway, and I have a daughter. So I've been trying to get this album done for the last, I don't know how long. It's called Relationships, dealing with relationships. So I'm going to have a family and friends album that's going to just talk about relationships, not just husband and wife, but, father, son, mother, daughter.
That's good.
So, just different variety of relationships, put it all together. And I'm going to have my family, my friends to help me out in that next project.
I love that. That's going to be very good. I'm excited about that. So what?
I met you through Kenice, right?
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you too about. How
Kenice was a part of that. Now, Kenice, I first put this concert together in 2012, so I'm like 8 years old, and she and I did it. I asked her to do a duet with me on a song that I wrote called "I'm Sorry, Please Forgive Me." Wow. And we have a music video on it. It's on YouTube, and so that song will be a part of the album.
Wow. Okay, yeah, so everyone, Kenice Itwaru is the person that is the main author of the book that I'm a collaborating author on, which is This Is How I Fight My Battles. And so Kenice also does a project at 10 o'clock p.m. nightly. Every day she does a devotion, a live devotion, and it is incredible. So you definitely want to check out Kenice Itwaru, and Mark Reddick and Kenice have done some collaborative work together. So that's how I came in contact with Pastor Mark Reddick. So I'm learning and meeting new people that I've never encountered thanks to great connections like Kenice. So thank you, Kenice.
Thank you, Kenice.
Yes, I'm grateful. Let me also just do a few housekeeping announcements, because we're going to definitely have Pastor Mark Reddick perform again. And if you are interested in just supporting the Kim Jacobs Show, any amount that you send is very helpful, and I'm able to take care of different business things to keep the show going on a daily basis. You can Cash App to Kim Jacobs Inc., or you can also paypal.me/Kim Jacobs Inc. And this helps the show be able to continue to be funded so that we can keep the shows pumping out every day, Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. until noon. We get a chance to provide you with some new interesting content. If you haven't subscribed to the Kim Jacobs Show, make sure you do so by going to my YouTube channel, which is right there. You have all the information, youtube.com/Daily Balance with Kim J, and you can subscribe. Now, any other comments, make sure you put them in, because I'm going to go one more time to the flash round, and then we're going to have Pastor Mark Reddick perform. And keep in mind, Monday through Friday, we have new shows every day. So tomorrow, I'm going to be having Dr. Damon Silas. Dr. Damon Silas will be on tomorrow, and he's talking about African-American men's mental health. Okay, this is African-American men's mental health Wellness and Awareness Month. We have to understand the mental health of all people, not just African American men, but tomorrow we're going to be focusing on African American men and their mental health and the state of the Black man's mental health. So make sure you tune in tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Please tell everybody, the flyer is right on my page. Share it with everyone to go ahead and start sharing the flyer and what time we'll be on. But if people subscribe, guess what? You already get your notifications. Before you perform, any final words of advice, encouragement that you'd like to share with people, Pastor Mark?
Sure. Whatever the Lord has placed in your heart to do it. Don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Because, you will always find someone that's going to hinder you. And sometimes it's deliberate, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes people, they don't mean any harm, but they're just not, they haven't caught a hold of your vision. And I would just encourage you that no matter how long it takes, if God has given you something that is impressed in your heart, follow through with it. Because you don't want to get to the day where you talk about I woulda, shoulda, coulda. Just go on and do what the Lord has blessed you and has prepared for you to do. That's my encouragement to you. Follow through.
I typed everything you said. You notice over here, I'm a really good assistant too. So
I wish I could type like that. If I could type like that, that'd be real good.
Whatever the Lord has placed on your heart to do, just do it. Don't look to the left or to the right. That's a direct quote that you can copy and paste and make sure you reference that Pastor Mark Reddick said it. He said it here on the Kim Jacobs Show. And let's see, some other comments came in. Allison Skeet, this is really a crisis. And thanks for this show, Kim Jacobs. You're so welcome, Allison. And I know that you've also shared some other great show ideas as well. So I'm looking for guests for that. One thing I'll tell you guys, because you might be able to have a guest reach out to me pertaining to this. One thing that Allison had shared was that coming over from different areas as immigrants and they have brown skin, a lot of times the people that are now in the United States do not know the proper protocol from an African American perspective, because they may have that color of their skin but don't have the background knowledge of what African American culture and expectations are. So they're viewed sometimes as, well, you're not African American enough, or you're not representing the African Americans properly. And it's a really good, diverse, deep dive discussion that needs to take place. So I'm very interested in having some people come on to talk about that. People that are immigrants that are now infused into the American culture, and you look like me, a Black person, but you're like, I may look like her, but I don't know what they talking about because I haven't experienced this from where I came from. So that's a great show idea, and that's one that came from Allison Skeet. But I would like to have some guests that would be interested in coming on to talk about that. So if that is something that you are interested in being a guest on the Kim Jacobs Show, make sure, let me give you how you can get in touch with me. You can email kim@thebalancedoctor.tv and just let me know the details of your interest in being a guest on that particular episode. Okay, Pastor, are you going to close us out here with another song?
Sure, I can do that.
All right, before you play, because I'm going to probably close out on that note, anything else that you're like, dog, I knew I should have said this? Any shout outs to your church? Anybody, anything that you want to say?
Shout out to, yes, my Epiphany Church in Brooklyn, New York. I love y'all, all my members. Shout out to my family, all my friends, just all over. I love everybody. I love everybody. That's all I want to say. And thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for being my guest today.
Yes, and thank you, Lady Kim. Thank you for having me, and hopefully you'll have me back again. I'll be glad to do it.
Before you play, let me say this too. This person said, Allison, I knew nothing about Black American experience to understand it coming from a different country. But again, she looks African American. So it's a very interesting topic that needs to be discussed. So if you want to discuss it on the Kim Jacobs show, some of you reach out to me and I can get a panel discussion pertaining to it. Pastor Mark Reddick, it's been a blessing to have you on in honor of African American Music Month.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. God bless
Okay,
you.
so go ahead and sing. What are you going to sing for us?
He is Lord.
Okay, Pastor Mark Reddick.
He is Lord. He is Lord. He has risen from the dead, and He is Lord. Every knee shall bow, and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. One more time. He is Lord. He is Lord. He has risen from the dead, and He is Lord. Oh yeah. Every knee shall bow, and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. Jesus Christ is Lord.
Wow. There you have it. Jesus Christ is Lord. Thank you, Pastor Mark Reddick. Thank you to all of my viewers. And be sure to tune in tomorrow at 11 o'clock.